Greets everybody. Welcome to a psalm for today, your reassuring voice that Jesus is Lord. As we talk today, may I encourage you to get something to munch on as we talk. Maybe an apple, or maybe a banana, or a chocolate chip cookie. Cookie dough is even better. We're going to be talking about food a little bit. Look right up there are the oranges in our orange tree. Not the oranges. There are more than that, but those are the oranges I see in the screen. We're talking today about Psalm 104, 14 and 15. He makes grass grow for the cattle and plants for people to cultivate, bringing forth food from the earth, wine that gladdens humans' hearts, oil to make their faces shine, and bread that sustains their hearts. This week we are talking about loneliness. And as I thought about loneliness in my life, or the lack thereof, I thought about our family meal times. Growing up, we ate together every night, without fail. Can't say without fail. 99.9% of the time, we ate together at 5 p.m. because most church things in our childhood started at 7 p.m. We had something virtually every night of the week. We lived in the church, so the church would come into our house. And in that experience, we had a meal time. Then when we had special occasions, we had special occasion meal times. Some of you are aware of Muldoon Community Assembly in Alaska, the use of Thanksgiving and Christmas and Resurrection Sunday, July 4th, as excuses to have a meal together. Well, I learned that as a child in Utqiagvik in Barrow, Alaska, when they would have the feast to celebrate God's bountiful provision in the hunt. Now, my brother and I, our job was to run the Visqueen under the pews and tape it down, and then up the walls about 2 or 3, no more than 3 or 4 feet up the walls of the church. And then people would bring in the food. Oh my goodness, we'd feast all day. By the way, speaking of feasting and food, do you know that many of the feasts in the Old Testament was 7 feasts a year, so to speak. Passover had a meal. Feast of Unleavened Bread celebrated not eating bread, but eating unleavened bread. So that's included food. Number 3, the Feast of First Fruits. Get a hint? That includes food. Number 4, the Feast of Weeks celebrates the second grain harvest and includes offering of cakes made with wheat flour, indicating a communal meal aspect. Number 5, the Feast of Tabernacles. It was a 7-day feast in which you ate and rejoiced in your temporary shelters. Then there was the Day of Atonement, which was a fast. The Day of Atonement did not feature feasting. It featured fasting. And the Feast of Trumpets, I'm not sure of the role of food in the Feast of Trumpets, but let's just say 6 out of the 7 that I'm aware of feature food. 5 of them feature eating it. 1 of them features fasting from it. So food is integral. The Bible teaches that sin entered the world by eating a food commanded not to eat. I just am thankful that God did not say to Adam and Eve, do not eat of the cookie dough. Oh my goodness, that would be a tough one. Food plays a key part. There was manna in the wilderness. In the New Covenant, we have the meal of Holy Communion, the bread and the wine. When we think about loneliness and the role of food in mitigating loneliness, I thought of the family mealtime. And I'd like to cover a little bit of an article today about that. Ann Fischel, F-I-S-H-E-L, Ann Fischel says that about 30% of families eat dinner together in the U.S. we're referring to. Despite the fact that the family mealtime is hugely beneficial to children. Who is Ann Fischel? She's the executive director of the Family Dinner Project. Whew! What a great job that would be. The Family Dinner Project, a nonprofit that helps families find their way back to the dinner table with fun, easy conversation, and meals. Wow. I would like to be the executive director of the Chocolate Chip Snack Project. Here's what she says. I'm a family therapist, and I sort of half joke that I could be out of business if more families had regular family dinners, because so many of the things that I try to do in family therapy actually gets accomplished by regular dinners. Now, I'm going to cover this concept again tomorrow so that we can look in depth. I have 4 pages of notes where I usually have less than one. But she says there have been over 20 years of dozens of studies that document that family dinners are great for the body, the physical health, the brains and academic performance, and the spirit or mental health. And in terms of nutrition, cardiovascular health is better in teens. There's lower fat and sugar and salt in home-cooked meals, even if you don't try that hard. There's more fruit and fiber and vegetables and protein in home-cooked meals and lower calories. Kids who grow up having family dinners when they're on their own tend to eat more healthily and to have lower rates of obesity. Then the mental health benefits are just incredible. Regular family dinners are associated with lower rates of depression. That's good. Lower rates of anxiety. Good. Lower rates of substance abuse. Good. Lower rates of eating disorder. Good. Lower rates of tobacco use. Good. And early teenage pregnancy is down. Good. Higher rates of resilience. Good. Higher rates of self-esteem. Good. It is fantastic to read what happens to the human body, spirit, and soul, the whole human being when there is a mealtime with family. They've even found the same when you are a single adult, but you choose to eat with other people. Church meals are very important in this regard. Nonetheless, before my 10 minutes are up, I have 2 minutes left. The text is Psalm 104, 14 and 15. God makes grass grow for the cattle. In other words, God provides food for the cattle, and he provides plants for the people to cultivate. So at the same time God is caring for the cattle, he's providing food for you and me. He provides wine that gladdens human hearts. It's interesting because wine is a product of man making grapes into a beverage, but this wine gladdens the human hearts. How much do your food and your beverages gladden your heart? The mealtime is to be a time that gladdens the hearts. Also, God brings forth oil to make their faces shine. So God gives a cosmetic appeal, so to speak, and bread that sustains their hearts. As we consider, again, the role of the mealtime, as we consider the role of eating together in mitigating the stress and downside of aloneness or loneliness, I encourage you to step out of your comfort zone, and if you have the opportunity, say to your family, let's eat together at least once a week. It can be breakfast. By the way, Ann mentions, I'll talk about it tomorrow, that Cheerios said, you're making such a big study out of the family dinner time. How about a family breakfast time? So their organization chose 7-minute breakfasts. They chose 7 minutes because that's the amount of time between when you push your snooze until the alarm goes off again. That's what the article says. I never timed it. 7 more minutes. The idea was that it would be helpful to start the day with a mealtime as well as to have an evening meal. By the way, for those of you that are not in Arizona, which is most of you, everybody has told me they have never seen the mosquitoes this bad in the history of Arizona. I have been eaten more by mosquitoes this summer than any summer I ever lived in Alaska. And that's about 60 years in Alaska. So each night you see me going like this, and that's because bugs are getting in my hair and biting me and eating me. Anyways, brothers and sisters, speaking of food, I'm food for the mosquitoes. I want you to joyfully consider the role of food and beverage in mitigating loneliness. Consider verses like "Thou preparest a table before me." Verses like the ones we've read today. He brings forth food from the earth and wine that gladdens the human hearts. Call somebody up. This is your assignment. Call somebody up and say, let's eat together.